there's only like 10% of people that ever do business with a brokerage because of who the brokerage is. They do business with the agent. They do the business with the agent that they met at the store, or that they met at the church, or their synagogue, or their recreational department, or, Chamber of Commerce, or, all those places where we end up. They're doing business with you. That's personal branding. And that leads us really into the development phase of the 3D formula, because development of that brand is very, very, very important. And
can I inject something right here real quick?
You can, absolutely.
Okay. The reason I say this is because I've listened to some of your other podcasts, and I know that you are passionate about this too, is that making sure you understand your story and you get it all like put together, before you start marketing that. And I'm so glad to hear those things. But what happens is most people jump to the development first. They don't define, right?
That's true.
They jump to it. And then some of the things Michael is about to talk about, they just go all out and start throwing together a logo and getting a photo shoot and designing their website, and without one inkling of what are they trying to achieve. Now we can go ahead, because by now in our program, we have already done the definition phase. So we're getting to this.
Yes.
Okay.
So just as a reminder, number one, in the define stage, guys, spend a lot of time thinking about the HEAP criteria and who you are and what you want to portray. Okay. And then you move into that development phase, into your story, and you start to infuse those personal elements about yourself. And what your makeup, what your experience level. You might just be getting in the real estate business and say maybe you've been a nurse for 20 years, and you think, okay, one thing's in the medical field, one's in the people in the sales field, right? What do they have to do with each other? They have a world to do with each other, right? Because you might find that traveling nurses are your ideal customer, because you know what that's like. You know that lifestyle. You can speak that lingo. You have those connectors. Problems, inside problems of hospitals and places you work with, and doctors and other nurses and things. You can talk that. You need to infuse that. After you've defined your brand, you need to infuse those kind of minute parts of your story, because that's what speaks to people. That's what's attractive to people. That's when they do what NAR has already said, and you said at the beginning of your podcast, they're going to look you up. If you meet them, shake their hand, I'm in the real estate business, you're right. They're going to turn around and they're going to go to social media, and they're going to look and see what your Facebook looks like, or what your Instagram looks like, or what your LinkedIn looks like. And then they're going to go to your website, and they're going to read about you, and they're going to find out what you're about. So the development phase, you need to spend some time thinking about also, so you get those key elements that are going to be attractive to that ideal customer.
Yep. And inside those developments, the things we're looking at and the things we're talking about are what we call branding elements. We're going to write the brand messaging, and brand messaging is your story, right? Yep. It's things like your elevator pitch, your biography, something we call signature sound bites, which are exclusive to us, but basically it's highlights of your brand at a glance, so that people don't have the time to read the full bio, or there's not enough room to put it on a particular piece of marketing. You've got the shortened version of highlights. So then we look at things like your brand colors, your personal brand logo, background imagery that resonates with your customer, your area, the homes you want to be known for helping people buy and sell, and what you stand for. So the reason we do a collection of imagery is because we want consistency across the board. We don't want a different image in the Facebook cover photo versus the Twitter versus LinkedIn versus YouTube. We want some consistency across the board. So, and then we take a look at a photo shoot, making sure that photo shoot and those images, those photos really represent what you're trying to portray. And no, we're not talking about just typical old headshots. We're talking about full-length photos. We're talking about maybe props. We just had a guy from Charleston, South Carolina, do a shoot, and he loves hats, and it was his thing. So he wore hats, and I said, Ernest, before you do this photo shoot, I'm going to tell you one thing. Do the tip of the hat in your photo. Man, it turned out amazing. He killed it, and it's so unique. It's so wonderful, and that's his personality, So
and
those are the elements.
It speaks to his story, Well, everybody knows a picture's worth 1,000 words. Okay, well, that 1,000-word picture has to match that 1,000-word biography, right? Mm-hmm. Because it has to match your story. Because our minds are complicated, and we already know the 7-11-21 rule, right, of marketing. People got to see you 7 times before they begin to remember you. They got to see you and what you do 11 times before they begin to associate those things. They got to see it about 21 times before they take action upon it. And every one of those development things need to point to the same story. Very important.
Yeah, and that concludes the development phase. So we've got all these puzzle pieces and parts ready now, and we're going to move into the third phase of branding, which is display. Now you need to make sure that brand is displayed correctly and consistently across everywhere. Write that down, everybody. Everywhere. Think of every place your brand could be infused. It needs to be consistent on your business card, personalized note cards, any kind of collateral material, social media, website, your vehicle, if you want to have your vehicle wrapped, or magnetic signs, pins, promotional items you give away, stickers that go on the back of your phone while you're standing there talking. They can see your brand on the back of your phone or on the back of your laptop when you're in a coffee shop. Logoed shirts, everything you can think of. You want to breathe that brand everywhere you go, because that brand is you. And when people are proud of that brand, and they always are, and that's what makes me and Michael so happy, is that they live that brand because it is them, and they're so proud that what they're putting out there to the world finally showcases who they really are.
Them.
And in a very professional way, that for the first time in most of their lives, that they've never really looked inside themselves to see what makes them really special, let alone put that out there to the world. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful thing to see, and it's a beautiful thing to feel. Like, I can speak for me personally. For many years, I've changed my branding over and over and over again. And then I met a little kid, like, I kid you not, like a little kid, an 18-year-old that just like lives and breathes like, marketing and branding and design and all that stuff. And he said, all your logos are too serious, and you're a very playful person. We need to create something that, shows the world that you are not just all business, but you're also a human being. And he created these, my initials, just the font and however he did it. And I was like, that's something that I want to showcase. That is something that feels good. That is something that I'm willing to tattoo on my body.